this lesson, I'm going to cover writing the equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. So this is notes 4-3. A couple of things I want to make sure that we know are, what is the definition of a parallel line? Or what do we know about parallel lines? Well, we know that parallel lines never touch. We also know that parallel lines don't intersect. We also know intersect. And we know that they're straight lines. These are all things that were talked about in class by students. And the other thing that somebody mentioned is that parallel lines have the same slope. So we're going to use that important piece of information in order for us to be able to identify parallel lines and write equations of parallel lines. And that is that parallel lines have the same slope. So let's go ahead and look at example 1. It says determine which lines are parallel. And so the question is, what should I compare? I should be comparing their slopes. And you're going to notice that I'm given a graph, so I can look at their slopes in one or two ways. I could either calculate their slopes by going y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 and labeling each one of these, and I would just go in and go x1 y1, x2 y2, and I would do that with each pair of points. So x1 y1, x2 y2, and the last one would be x2 or x1, excuse me, y1, x2 y2, and I would then go ahead and calculate the slope of line A, line B, and line C. And in calculating each one of those slopes, I would then compare. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to actually show the calculations because I think that's more useful. We can all count, but I think it's useful for you to see the arithmetic behind this. So I'm going to go 2 minus 3 over 1 minus negative 4, which this is negative 1 over 5, which is equal to my m. So that's line A. My slope is negative 1/5. So line B, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to pull negative 1 minus 0 over 1 minus a negative 3. And I'm going to get negative 1 over 4. And I know that that, again, is my m. So draw a box around that. And the last one is line C. I'm going to go negative 5 minus a negative 4 over 2 minus a negative 3. So I know that this is going to be 5 on the bottom. And I know that this is a plus, so negative 5 plus 4 is negative 1, and that's my m, my slope. So now I'm going to compare each one of these slopes, and I'm going to notice that line A and line C have the same slope. Therefore, I can say that line A is parallel to line C because the slopes are the same. So that's important to explain why I know. Well, I know it because the slopes are the same. So now we're going to look at example 2. And example 2 asks us to write an equation of the line that passes through the point of 5 and negative 4 and is parallel to the line of y is equal to 2x plus 3. So there's a couple of things that we need to remember, that when it is asking us to write an equation of the line, then I need this to be in the format of y is equal to mx plus b. That's going to be my final format that I need it to be in. I'm also given a point right there. So, and I know I can label that point of x1 and y1. And what else am I given? I'm given an equation of the line right here. I notice that this is y is equal to mx plus b. I know that. And what am I being told about this equation? We're told that my line is parallel to this line. So what do I know from this line? I know what my m is. So my m is equal to 2. And you're probably going, well, why don't I note the b? Well, remember that the b is the y-intercept, and my y-intercept is going to be different on a line that's parallel. Just remember that. So now I know that m is equal to 2. So can I find the slope of the parallel line? Well, yeah, I just did. So I'm given an equation, and I know that my line is parallel, therefore I'm going to use the same slope. So I'm going to use that m is equal to 2. And I know that because I'm given a parallel line to that equation. What else do I know? Well, I'm given a point. So if I'm given a point, then I'm going to use the point slope form. So I'm going to use 5 comma negative 4. And I've already labeled that as x1, y1. And I have an m, which is equal to 2. Therefore, I have all the things I need in order to be able to use the point slope form. So I'm going to go ahead and write y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. And I'm going to go ahead and substitute all the values that I have. I know I have a y1, so I'm going to go y minus a negative 4 is equal to, I've got an m, which is 2, times x minus 5. I'm now going to go ahead and simplify right here. So I'm get y plus 4 is equal to. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute the 2 across the parentheses. So I'm going to get 2x minus 10. This still is not in y is equal to mx plus b. So what do? I subtract 4 from both sides. When I do that, I'm left with y is equal to 2x minus 14. So, did I write an equation of the line that passed through 5 comma negative 4, noticing that I have the same slope? That indicates that my lines are parallel. You're going to notice here, what? That in my original equation, I had a y-intercept of 3, and this line is going to pass through negative 14 on the y-axis. So that is writing an equation of a parallel line. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the page. I'm now going to go to page 20 on the back side. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do these 2 practice problems. You should do practice 1 and practice 2. Noticing that I've got line A that passes through these points, line B passes through these points, and we want to know, are they parallel? So, and explain if you know that they're parallel or not parallel. You're going to answer the question, what do you need to find? How can you compare the 2 lines? So those are the things that I want you to think about as you're setting up to be able to solve that problem. In the second practice monitoring progress problem, you're being asked to write an equation of the line that passes through that point and is parallel to this line right here. So again, the only thing I'm going to give you is that y is equal to mx plus b. So I need you to go ahead and do both of those if you haven't done them already, and make sure that you understand how to do these. I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to pause it, put the answers in so you have something to compare against. So you can see in the practice monitoring progress that I've done problems number 1 and 2. So for the first one, I found the slope for the first set of lines, line A, and the second set of points for line B. Found that the slope was 4 for line A, and line B, the slope was 5. Noticing that the slopes were different, therefore the lines are not parallel. In number 2, it asked me to write an equation of the line, and I was given a point, and I was also given an equation of the line for a parallel line. So I knew from my parallel line that my slope was 1/4. You can see that I've indicated that right here. I've also indicated that parallel lines have the same slope, and I went ahead and I labeled my point as x1 and y1. I used the point slope form right here, and I substituted the value of my y1, my slope, and my x1, and I went ahead and simplified everything, and then I converted it into y is equal to mx plus b, which gave me an equation of the line of y is equal to 1/4 x plus 3. So again, you'll notice that the lines are parallel because they have the same slope. So what you should do before you move on and watch the next video is make sure that you indicate, summarizing, what do you know about parallel lines? How do you determine if two lines are parallel? In the next video, what I'm going to show is how to identify and write equations of perpendicular lines.